Thanks to all the subscribers. Please like, subscribe, and comment. With that out of the way, let's get into it. According to the government, DEMETRICE R. DEVINE, also known as Respect 37 of Garner, North Carolina, was the leader of the Gangsta Killer Bloods, or GKB. Brandon JOWAN MANGUM, also known as B Easy 31 of Knightdale, was another high-ranking member of BMG DGF. DEVINE, also known as Respect, then created Black Mob Gangstas, or BMG, and the Donald G family, or DGF organization. The BMG DGF are sets of the Bloods gang whose members committed various crimes in the city of Raleigh, especially in the area of Haywood Street. In his leadership position, DEVINE directed members of his gang to shoot a 16-year-old rival gang member, Darius Fowler, who died from gunshot wounds. He also ordered a gang member to shoot a person who provided information to law enforcement regarding the murder of Fowler. While this person was recovering from those gunshot injuries in the hospital, DEVINE ordered that the person be killed. DEVINE presided over a beat-in gang initiation of a BMG DGF gang member and personally assaulted another gang member whose loyalty he questioned. DEVINE conspired with other gang members to silence and threaten gang members that had been provided subpoenas to testify in a federal proceeding. Mangum, along with other gang members, conspired to shoot an 18-year-old rival gang member, Rodriguez Burrell, because he refused to pay money to BMG DGF. Burrell was shot multiple times in the presence of his father and died of his wounds. BMG DGF members had to pay dues to BMG DGF, which BMG DGF called Community Rent Box, or CRB. BMG DGF members often earn money to pay their CRB by engaging in drug dealing, prostitution, fraud, and extortion. The extortion included extorting payments from drug dealers who sold or attempted to sell drugs on BMG DGF turf. One such drug dealer who refused to pay CRB to BMG DGF was Rodriguez Burrell. On the evening of May 25, 2009, BMG DGF members murdered Rodriguez Burrell on his father's porch at 500 Haywood Street. Essentially, the trial evidence showed that Brandon Mangum walked by the front porch at 500 Haywood Street, falsely inquired about buying some smoke, but really was confirming that Rodriguez Burrell was on the porch. At that time, Rodney Burrell, who was Rodriguez's father, and Stephon Smith were on the porch and were selling drugs, getting high, and watching a movie. About 10 minutes later, the BMG DGF shooter walked up and asked from the sidewalk whether they had any smoke. Rodney Burrell responded yes, and the shooter walked up on the porch. Rodney Burrell believed that the shooter was reaching into his pocket for money to pay for the marijuana. Instead, the shooter pulled out a gun, executed Rodriguez Burrell, and ran from the murder scene. Rodriguez Burrell was 18 years old. Devine and Mangum both sold drugs on behalf of BMG and DGF. Specifically, the jury found Devine guilty of conspiracy to distribute and possession with the intent to distribute more than 280 grams of cocaine base, also known as crack, more than 500 grams of cocaine, and a quantity of marijuana. Devine frequently provided drugs to lower-ranking gang members for further distribution into the community. Demetrius Deshaun Tony, also known as Meat, was a member of BMG and DGF and eventually obtained the rank of 5-star general after the Burrell murder. Tony participated in the conspiracy to murder Rodriguez Burrell. Before trial, Tony pleaded guilty to conspiracy to participate in a pattern of racketeering and did not testify at trial. Jamario Keon Jones, also known as Spec Jr. or Skino, was a member of BMG and DGF. Jones lived on Haywood Street. Before trial, Jones pleaded guilty to murder with a firearm during and in relation to a crime of violence in aiding and abetting the murder of Darius Fowler. At trial, Jones explained the structure of BMG and DGF and how gang members gained rank within the organizations. Jones also gave significant first-hand details of BMG and DGF's criminal activities on and around Haywood Street, the conspiracy to murder and the murder of Rodriguez Burrell, the murder of Darius Fowler, and the attempted murder of Philip Brimage, also known as Fear 5. Jones was one of the shooters in the Fowler murder and was the shooter in the Brimage attempted murder. Timothy Collins, also known as Biggs, was a high-ranking member in BMG and DGF. Collins testified at trial about his role and the conduct of others within BMG and DGF, including the conspiracy to participate in a pattern of racketeering and the conspiracy to murder Rodriguez Burrell. Roderick Howell testified at the grand jury that he went to middle school with Mangum, and he and Mangum used to date two women who were sisters. Howell and Mangum were detained in the same jail in Wake County after Mangum was charged in state court with Burrell's murder. According to Howell, while briefly placed in the same visiting room together at the jail, Mangum made numerous admissions to him about Burrell's murder. Mangum told Howell that the murder resulted from a founding gang member's order, that Respect gave the order, that Bucci passed along the order, that the murder took place on the front porch of a house on Haywood Street, that the victim was named Re-Up or Rodriguez, that one of the BMG and DGF members left his shoe near the murder scene, that the shoe was the only thing that could mess them up, that Mangum was present when the murder happened, that the murder weapon was 9mm, that Derek Griffiths got the 9mm after the murder, and that the murder was necessary because they didn't want him selling drugs on their turf. At trial, however, Howell contradicted his grand jury testimony and feigned memory loss. In fact, Howell was the most reluctant witness that this court has ever seen. Accordingly, the court admitted Howell's federal grand jury testimony, and Howell was then vigorously cross-examined about Mangum's alleged admissions. United States District Judge James C. Deaver III sentenced DEMETRICE R. DEVINE, also known as Respect 37, of Garner, North Carolina, to 4 consecutive terms of life imprisonment, followed by a term of 240 months imprisonment and 5 years supervised release for conspiracy to participate in a pattern of racketeering, also known as RICO conspiracy and murder in aid of racketeering. The court also recommended that the defendant serve his life sentences at the Supermax Federal Prison in Colorado. He is currently at USP Florence High, a high-security U.S. penitentiary. Brandon JOWAN MANGUM was sentenced to life in prison. He is currently at USP McCreary, a high-security U.S. penitentiary with an adjacent minimum security satellite camp. Demetrius Deshawn Tony was sentenced today to 240 months in prison for conspiracy to participate in a pattern of racketeering, also known as RICO conspiracy. He is currently at FCI Memphis, a low-security federal correctional institution with an adjacent minimum security satellite camp and a detention center. His release date is April 9th, 2031. Although there are convictions in this matter, I must stress that an indictment is not evidence of guilt. Charges are only allegations, and each defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Blessings.